Hello again, class. This is the video commentary on the readings for this week. And regarding chapter 3, which is, as you can tell, about digital marketing, the chapter focuses on the different tools and options that you have regarding mobile marketing, websites, blogs, search advertisements, etc., with a particular focus on social media activities, which are available to hotels, airlines, travel agencies, and all sort of tourism and hospitality businesses, including destination marketing organizations, or DMOs as they are called, which are these entities in charge of marketing destinations, regions, a state, or a country. Now, regarding the challenges of digital marketing, I would like you to pay attention to the second of these that you see on your screen, measuring the return on investment and its impact on the bottom line. And in this regard, I'd like you to take a look to this article that I published with Dr. Basil Lazar in the economics department here in TAMUCC. And this is basically about measuring the impact of online marketing programs or campaign. This is an optional reading. You don't have to read it, but I have included a couple of bonus point questions in this week's mini exam. So if you want, you can read not the entire article. You don't need to. There is a technical part on the second half of it, but like the first couple of sections, for instance, here, section 2.1, section 2.2, again, this can be helpful for your mini exam this week. Now, another chapter that you have to study this week is number 5, the tourism and hospitality product. And in this case, I have included a slide that you see now on your screen, which is not in the textbook. I brought up this from a Principles of Marketing textbook. Some of you may have used this. And it shows the 3 layers model for understanding products, right? In which you have the core product, the core value perceived by the customers, or the benefits received by the consumer. And then on the second layer, you have the actual product and the augmented product in the last of these layers. And here you see an example of a automobile, right? And what these 3 layers would be represented, or how they will be represented in this example of product. Now, in our textbook, this chapter, we have a similar model adapted to hospitality and tourism products. In this case, what you have is an example of a music festival, right? And here they are called also the core product, the tangible product, second, and third, the outside layer is the augmented product. And inside you have a description of this example, right? Now, aside from events or service hospitality businesses, we gotta look at the concept of the destination. And in the case of tourism destination, what you have is a bundle, a conglomerate of many different businesses and hospitality services together that constitute the destination. And I want to show you this destination competitiveness framework by Ritchie and Crouch. This is not in your textbook, but I included it here. And this model, what it does is illustrates the way in which a destination complexity constitutes the valuable experiences for visitors, right? And I'm not going into detail here, but just want to draw your attention to the bottom part of the model where you have the so-called supporting factors and resources. What is this? Think about a destination, and the first thing it gotta have in order to support the tourism industry is infrastructure, accessibility, and other resources, right? Including political will, right? The authorities, the willingness to support and push tourism industry. Now, in the second level, going up, you have the core resources and attractors. Here is where you will find the range of businesses that make up tourism industry, right? But not only that, you have the natural scenery, the physiography and climate. You have also social aspects like culture and history of the location, which of course are important assets. You have activities, events, entertainment, and the so-called superstructure. What is that? Well, those are the hotels, the restaurants, the travel agencies, theme parks, transportation agency, etc. Right? All these businesses that are by themselves service organizations. And then on top of this model, you have other elements that I'm not going into detail now, but one more time, this is a framework that allows to understand how this destination that we refer to is by itself a macro or meta product. Now, going back to the chapter's content, you have the product life cycle in reference to tourism, but again, this is good for individual brands or services like a hotel chain, like a restaurant, etc. But what about destinations? Well, there is a tourism area life cycle model, which is the equivalent of the product life cycle, but applicable to geographical regions or locations. And this was proposed by Richard Butler. And I have included in the supplemental readings an encyclopedia entry of this tourism area life cycle model. This is a required reading, so please take a look to it, because you see how this is the equivalent of the product life cycle model that we know in marketing, but applicable to tourism destinations. Now, in terms of the importance of branding for tourism products, what I would like to draw your attention to is to the concept of brand equity, not in the case of individual businesses, which you are familiar with, or you should be familiar with from your other marketing classes, but one more time to the context of destinations. And this DBE, or destination brand equity concept, is pretty much a framework to understand how the attributes and perceived elements of a place add or subtract from the value that different stakeholders obtain. And stakeholders in this case means not only customers or visitors and tourists, but also the participants in the destination, the residents, for example, but also authorities and other stakeholders. And I have included also a 2 pages encyclopedia entry for destination brand equity. So this is 3 pages. I will ask you to please read this because it'll be part of the mini exam. And well, last but not least, let's not forget that whether we are talking about a destination, territory, or region, or the different businesses that make up that destinations, these are service providers. These are businesses that provide some hospitality or retail or other type of service. And a good framework to analyze and understand and make decisions from a managerial standpoint is the so-called servicescape. And servicescape, I will ask you to pay attention to the 4 roles that the servicescape serves, which is packaging, facilitator, socializer, and differentiator, which over the years, based on empirical research, have the different dimensions of the servicescape have been found to have an impact and positive consequences, not just on consumers and customers and tourists, but also on employees, on people who work at the service organizations. And this is crucial because service organizations rely on the employee, on the staff that works in it, right? And these consequences or impacts range from the cognitive to the emotional to the physiological responses that have as an outcome behavioral responses, again, both on customers and employees, which are favorable, or we want as an organization to be favorable for the satisfaction of all participants, customers, and our staff.